But I want you to understand that those two concepts are very different. I could design a system very differently if it was throughput, and I would design a system very differently if it was utilization of people. Okay? Yeah. I'm running out of time. I'm going to try to get this done. I'm still lost because now I understand this thing about this balancing and this thing associated with this problem. Resilience was it chapter 3, wasn't it? I don't understand what resilience is. Explain to me what resilience is. I kind of lost that. What is resilience?
Is a measure of a system's ability to survive and persist within a variable environment.
Are you reading from that paper?
Systems ability to handle variation.
Ability to bounce back.
Ability to bounce back. What do you know from lean that helps you with that concept? See, this is not so difficult. Lean told you, remember that, it said, if I have small disruptions and breakdowns, but they're frequent, I have a better ability to recover than if I had infrequent, but what? Large disruptions. So even that concept seems to have that, that factory physics concepts are fitting into all of these and giving you a greater amount of depth. But I don't know what resilience means. Resilience is just, okay, how do I recover? But I don't know recover from what? What am I supposed to be recovering from?
Variations.
Disruption,
It's
variation.
the ability to adapt and reallocate resources.
I want to know because you have to define what failure is. Let me tell you how we have cheated in this case and defined failure. How did we define failure?
You're outside of that range.
We said, but ours was so easy. I just go up there and say, oh, I think it's 1 to 4. Why? Because if I had too much inventory, I am losing money to produce that particular part. I'm just making that up. Okay? And if I don't have any parts, that means that I'm starving my system and nobody's working. And I can't produce anything. You see that difference. Now, so that is my definition. 1 to 4. My God, that's a terrible definition, but it is a definition. Tell me what conditions would allow that system to fail. See, because to me, I have to have fundamentally something in my hand that I can do something with, because I can't just work with concepts. So I have to be able to figure out what is failure, what scenarios causes failure, and if I'm not mistaken, watch this. It's exactly what we're talking about. And watch this. What they did yesterday, and not that all of this makes sense to you, they went and ran every scenario to describe when I would have an inventory between 1 and 4. And they described every scenario that gives me less than 1 and more than 4. What if I could give that to you? Again, you don't have to focus in on this at this moment. What all this is saying is, I can tell you what arrival time should be, watch this, what the process time should be. If my arrival time is 1 and my process time is 2, boom, 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 that's not good. That over a period of time, I'm going to do something to it. How long does it take? Well, here's the period of time that it takes. If it's 1 and 3, oh my God, that's worse. 1 and 4, it's still going to fail at some time if I don't have something to do with it. But as I increase this discrepancy, the time period to failure is very important. It becomes what? Shorter. Do you think that's important to you in your concepts? When you're looking at your systems, that you just don't look and say resilience, what, and you'd say, resilience is the ability to recover. I want to know from you, what is failure? I want to know from you that you understand the scenarios within your systems that causes that failure. Is that okay? And then, if I know what the failure is, I know the scenarios that cause failure. Watch this now, please. I know the scenarios that cause failure. I have these scenarios that cause failure. On the other hand, I have what? My loops.
Feedback loop.
The reinforcing loops and balancing loops. Do I not have that? Can I study and analyze this failure, in relationship to what is the weakness in my balancing or my reinforcing loops to understand what we can do about it and how to make it resilient? Now I understand resilience. Because I know what fails, I know when it fails, and I know where there are weaknesses or what I can do to strengthen that system to be able to address that problem. Tell me what resilience means. I have failure, I have failure, I have failure, I have failure, I have failure. Is it the ability to ahead of time detect that failure?
Ideally.
That's one. So that's the first part, right? The life cycle of resilience. I must be able to sometimes predict. Then the second part is, oh my God, I have a failure.
Respond.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do?
It's got to respond.
And to do what?
To mitigate.
Balance itself.
Response B, very quick. And I can tell you the problem that we work on, where was it? The chiller system at ORNF. The question is, if somebody attacked, and again, don't ask me how, we were just part of that study, attacked through a cyber attack, attacked the chiller system. How could we be resilient enough to overcome this thing? And the person I remember that was working on this was Glenn Allwood. So there was a study on this resiliency, and resiliency in itself is not so easy like we're taking it. My God, if you looked at the mathematical equations that they had to be able to look at this, it was mind-boggling. So resiliency is what? Ability to predict failure. Resiliency is once failure occurs, what do? The ability to quickly respond. So how? Where do you do these two things? In my
Feedback loop.
in my
Feedback and reinforcement.
Stop.
in the loops. So the question then becomes is, my God, these loops and how we define and put these loops together, because I don't think that these loops, where's the book? I don't think loops are like this. I try to think, even this loop on a simple system is not like this. You don't have many loops like this. You know, like here's a knob, here's a knob, here's a knob, here's a knob. There is complexity of people, redundancies, all that kind of stuff that's occurring. Okay? Now, so resilience is the ability to understand what? Failure. Okay? To understand how that failure is connected to your loops. Define failure, understand when it fails, and look at your abilities, predict it, and look at your ability to what? Work on it. All right? Now, I have 3 minutes. What is this self-organization stuff? Ugh. It looks like one of those where I have to go meditate and say, oh, I'm self-organizing. What does this mean? I don't understand. I mean, the concept sounds good, but what does that have to do with practicality of what you're doing? What are you doing in your lean capstones? lean projects?
Making systems better, evolve.
What did you do? Each of ones that I saw last week, self-organizing. Are you not? I'm doing it this way, I'm doing it this way, I'm doing it this way, I'm doing this way. You designed for me something different. Why did you design it different?
So it can get better, it can evolve.
Are you evolving the system? Hopefully, yes. Are we evolving the system? You say yes. All right? So are you talking about self-organization? It's not like one day you meditate and say, ooh, I think that I'm self-organized. It is this difficult task of understanding how you have to organize. Somebody has to take the lead, somebody has to move it, somebody does it, and now we have what?
Hierarchy.
22 different systems. We have not looked at resiliency, but you are self-organizing from a efficiency perspective. And then, last, I don't understand this hierarchy. What is hierarchy?
It's a structure within your system that allows individual parts to be managed without having to have the one person try to manage all of it.
Right. In the study and the design that you came up with in the self-organization, did you create a hierarchy?
Yes.
You say, instead of me sending information to Jeremy, I'm now going to send it to Carla, Carla's now going to send it to Jeremy, etc. Did you do that? It may not be the formal hierarchy that we're talking about, but you inherently have created through your self-organization a hierarchy that is different than what you have. And why did you do that?
Structure. Stability, structure.
Tell me, I've always been told, ooh, when I was going through all of these classes and stuff like that, said, no, we need to flatline. This is too hierarchical. Therefore, what do you do with our organization? What are we doing? What do we call them? I don't remember what we call them. You know, when you have 10 levels of hierarchy and you take it to 2 levels. Was that not what happened in the last 2 decades? So what is this hierarchy? And what does that have to do with this concept that is out there that says flatten the organizations? What is the purpose of hierarchy when you put and said, I'm not going to report to Jeremy, but I'm going to send it to Carla, and Carla now is going to send it to Jeremy?
To define roles.
For what purpose?
To
Break-
reduce the amount of information.
So
Yeah.
that it's
Quick
resilient.
dissemination.
Information into manageable chunks to be more efficient.
The ability to respond to something in the quickest fashion possible. That is the essence of your hierarchy. So that if I am sending it to Jeremy, and then Jeremy is sending it to Joe, and Joe is sending it to Mark, and all that kind of stuff, because we don't know that, it's taking too long. My God, it's taking too long for us to be able to respond to it. And that's important to us, isn't it? Because if it's taking too long, what is happening to my time to respond to an event?
Increases.
What if I could create a different hierarchy with the whole purpose of what? Response. Right? Are we okay? I mean, for the first time, we have started. So what we did is we brought in a little bit of the lean principles in the first class. We brought in QFD here. And what I plan to do is bring a lot more of this, where we don't talk about a concept, but then we come back and give you an example so that it solidifies in your mind where your other classes fit in. Are we okay with this or not?
Great.
Yes, sir.
Can we have this posted on the blog?
All of these should be posted.
They probably already are.
All of these are posted.
No, they're not.
Okay, so what they did is yesterday, is all of this here is, what they did is did different experiments. Experiment 1, experiment 2, experiment 3, experiment 4. And they're showing you on the side what they're changing. They're either changing the process time or the arrival rate to understand where the failures are occurring. And then they look at the level of width. Why were they looking at the level of width? What was your stock? And what do you see? And this is of interest to me because they showed me this earlier. I thought WIP, as I changed my time, arrival time, and my process times, watch this, that it is an immediate thing. But one of the things that's coming to us, and this is what we're researching on, why is it a step function? The step function gives me a tremendous opportunity to do a lot of stuff if it is truly a step function. Okay, Mark, are you okay? So this is there. This is only to give you some structure.
Right, it's good to see how your PhD students are doing the analysis for us, just to,
I told them what to do.
oh, okay.
Yes.
And so they worked on it till 10 at night, so who do you want to work for, him or wife?
Mark. But I can tell you this. I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning to review that and send it out.
And we love you for it.
No, not really. I mean, I just go to sleep. I go to sleep. Mark, are we okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Why don't we take a 5-minute break?
The process time is longer than 5 minutes for the bathroom.
Good job. Good job.